Welcome to another installment of Cohort 1986. I'm Rodney.
I'm Candace.
And today we have a very special guest. Candace, Who do we have today?
We have Paige Boyd, guys.
What does Paige do, man?
Man, what does she not do is the question. Sis does it all.
She's a radio personality, former radio personality, a journalist, a multimedia specialist.
Yeah.
And I think it's about time we bring her on, don't you think?
I think so.
All right. Hey, Paige, how are you doing? Welcome.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Doing good.
So
awesome.
usually we jump into you telling us a little bit about yourself. But Candace, don't you have some rapid fire questions for this page?
Questions. I got some questions for today.
All right.
So first of all, I'm super excited to have Paige on today, guys. We're gonna learn so much about her career. But before we get there, we gotta have a little bit of fun. What do you think, Rodney?
Let's go.
All right. So first question, what is your favorite place to vacation?
Favorite place to vacation, believe it or not, is Kentucky.
Kentucky.
And it's because I actually have family in Kentucky. You know, both of my grandparents on my mother's side actually grew up in Kentucky. So we're Southerners at heart. So it's always a nice time going to Kentucky. And my dad, God rest his soul, is from Kentucky as well. So it's very fun, just being around family. Everything is walking distance. And although it's not really a lot to do, when you were a kid, it's always something to do because everybody was outside, especially, growing up. So we always had going to the park, going to little dances for the kids and everything. So it's just a nice, down home feel to it. So that will be my favorite.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we've been to Kentucky. You remember we went to the caves and
we went to the caverns.
Yeah,
and we went to Louisville about almost 2 years ago.
It's been a minute since I've been there, but I've always said I'm probably gonna go there one day, probably do Kentucky Derby. So we'll see.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I want to go. I want to,
I want to dress up in a linen suit.
I want to,
right.
I got to get the everything.
You know for sure.
I think that would be fun. So this is going to be a pretty interesting question, being that Miss Paige is from Detroit. And she's also a big lover of music. So what is your favorite genre of music?
R&B, hands down. And not just, any R&B. Some of the stuff from today is cool, but we're talking late 80s, early 90s. When you had, some feeling, some oomph into it. Where you had brothers, singing in the rain or singing in the desert and all that chest out and everything, begging. It's that begging music that I love. So
back in the day when the brothers used to hit you with the Nehoo.
I still listen to it. I still listen to it in the car.
I'm saying, if there's a Nehoo in there somewhere, it's a bona fide hit.
Right.
Yes. We went to, who did we see a couple weeks ago? And what's that? Drew Hill. We saw Drew Hill.
About a few months ago. Yeah.
Was it a few months ago?
Yeah.
Time is catching up.
Yeah.
But it was so crazy because they got on stage and they even did the hop. And I was like, man, y'all still got the knees.
Man, look, some of us gave up a long time ago, but the fact that they still have the knees, good for them. That's all I can say. That's
good. I enjoyed it.
No longer my ministry with the knees, but we can watch y'all. We can watch y'all do it. There you go.
We still here though.
We still here. We're still in here. Yep. There you go.
So my last question for you is pancakes or waffles?
Both.
Okay.
Well,
okay. Look, I was waiting for the answer. I'm trying to figure. I was trying to be
like if you can put syrup on it and some butter and some fruit, then I'll eat it regardless of what it is, though.
Okay.
Regardless of what it is.
I like that. I think, I usually kind of go in between both of them myself. Like some good hot pancakes, Belgian waffles.
There you go. See,
I'm more of a pancake guy, especially like with the buttery, crispy edges.
Ooh, yep. There you go. But
I won't turn down a good waffle though. No, a good light waffle from Waffle House. Won't turn it down.
Look, pancakes, waffles, French toast. If it's there, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna eat it. So there you go. Like you can't go wrong with that.
Okay. Cool.
Well, that was the rapid fire.
Yes, that was me. Those were my hard questions that I had for today.
Well, that was fun. I appreciate those questions. I appreciate them. So it's all good.
Cool.
So tell us a little more about yourself. Like, what? Looking at Paige, what would you like somebody to know about you, and just kind of like how they like growing up in Detroit shape you?
Well, if there's one thing at my core that someone needs to know about me is that I love music. I love all kinds of music, and I love not just, listening on the radio or anything like that, just getting into the deep dive as to, the inspiration of the song, like the instrumentation, the production is just like, it's the kind of ear that I developed as a kid because I actually grew up in the Metro Detroit area, and how my mother, God rest her soul, used to put me to sleep because I was a very active child, unfortunately. The kind of child that would, meddle in the pancake mix while mom is on the phone and cover the whole kitchen. That was my kind of child. That was my kind of childhood. So the way that she used to put me to sleep and make me feel sleepy was late night. She would put me in my car seat, and she would just drive around. And it was during that time that the Quiet Storm was on. And that is that's like a lost art right there. Like the Quiet Storm, and at that time that was at its peak. We're talking about over 400 stations across the country had a Quiet Storm format for their late nights.
I love the Quiet Storm, man. Oh man.
That's how I fell in love with radio, like just listening to, the great love songs, like listening to Keith Sweat, listening to Luther Vandross, listening to Anita Baker and Phyllis Hyman and Vesta and Jodeci and Boyz II Men. Just like she would just drive around until she thought I would fall asleep. And then as soon as she pulls into the driveway, boop, my eyes back wide open. So she would go drive some more around, a few more times until I finally fell asleep. But that's how I fell in love, with radio and just, listening to the different voices, listen to the instrumentation. And also the DJs back then were so smooth too.
Oh, they were, man.
Like they were like too smooth. So it just kind of like puts you in that vibe. So that's really how I fell in love with music. Obviously, birthplace of Motown, Detroit. So obviously music was a major presence, like all throughout the house, whether it's, going to church, listening to Clark Sisters, the Winans and all that. And then also Motown. And then, also the rap scene was kind of bubbling, in the underground as well. So it was just a great time, growing up the way that I did in a house full of music.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So what did you want to be like when you were growing up? Like, what did you want to be?
Well, originally I wanted to be a singer, but then I realized they didn't make that much money. So with that being said, I always wanted to do something with music. I did not quite know how until I really hit middle school and high school, because then that's when I was also starting to watch, BET more and watching the news and just being like interested and intrigued by the world around me. So when I kind of, figured out what I wanted to do in high school, I kind of, meshed the two together. I ended up being on the broadcast club in high school. And by jazzing it up, originally I wanted to join Broadcast Club because we were able to get lunch before anybody else. But
The perks.
Yeah, the perks. There you go. But, once I really got into it and, we started, having fun with it, playing music, especially during homecoming week, where, everybody was getting really excited about the football game and the different activities. That's when, okay, bing. That's what I need to do. I wanted to be a broadcaster and I wanted to include music. So that was really like the light bulb over the head, like the doing. Wow. That is really what kind of piqued my interest into music journalism.
So you went to University of Michigan Dearborn, where you got your bachelor's, and then you transitioned to Michigan State. You were a Spartan, boo, and you got your master's. So while you were in school, did you take on like any internships or anything?
Yes, I did. Actually, I got into college radio. That was my first big outlet into it. So basically, first I went to Wayne State, and I was actually involved in college radio. But then I ended up, not gonna lie, had some growing pains. Didn't do so well. So I ended up taking a couple of years off to kind of reassess, and also, dealing with illness with my grandmother being sick as well, and my mother being sick. So, kind of, took some time to kind of, get everything back in order. And then I ended up going to Henry Ford College to, get my credits back up, and then transferred to U of M Dearborn. And throughout that time, I was involved in college radio. So we had our online radio station, WUMD, in University of Michigan Dearborn, and I was the host of their very first hip hop related show.
Oh wow!
So I ended up doing that all throughout my matriculation there, having fun with it, dealing with music. Basically interviewing artists, especially local artists from the area, and just getting in touch with, what it took to not only promote your own show, but to select the music and walk into like the process. So after that, I did during that time with college radio, I also had an internship at a radio station, a top 40 radio station in Detroit. So that was like my internship there so I did that. And actually, that was actually during my master's, but yeah, that still happened. And even, after I went to Michigan State, I got involved in college radio. So I was able to host my own show for a little bit, like a little regular ship. And then I started hosting the Cultural Vibe during my last 2 years there. And the Cultural Vibe is actually one of Michigan State radio's oldest shows.
Wow.
Yeah. And it focused on hip hop music, R&B music, especially those from the underground. And I was actually their first female host of that show.
Groundbreaking.
Wow. I have so many questions. So my first question is, you talked about starting a hip hop channel at your college. So what did that process look like for you? Like how did you, you think about a college student and you think about opportunities, right? You think about making opportunities for yourself. So what did that kind of look like?
Basically, thankfully, with WUMD, they had a very welcoming heart and a welcoming, mind to where I pretty much was allowed to do anything that I wanted with my own show. So so having that freedom to kind of like craft the show I want, how I want to do it, have news breaks here and there in between the songs. And plus I also had some great friends that served as a co-host as well. So shout out to DJ Dill and Lissay, who were two of my great friends, and they served as co-hosts. And with Dell being an actual DJ, he kind of, put me up on a lot of things and made some connections for me, and, just having fun. That was the main thing that I enjoyed. Like, we just had a ball playing the music we wanted, talking about the stuff that piqued our interest and that was interesting to us, and just, having a ball. So that kind of, set everything in motion, because like, you're supposed to enjoy what you do.
Right.
And once you enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like, just another credit or anything like that. It's like I literally enjoy doing what I do.
That's awesome.
And that kind of started that for me.
That is so awesome. So when you graduated school, especially with your undergrad, like that experience as far as working in the radio kind of helped you get a foot in with employment and whatnot. So can you kind of walk us, like, how did you land your first full-time gig and just being prepared for that, as far as like not being in school and then you're full that transition period? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, my first commercial gig in radio actually happened during the last year of my master's program at Michigan State. Wow. So I was hosting the Cultural Vibe one night. And of course we have like our old school request line where, you know, someone can call in and request a song. So we had it like that. So I ended up picking up the phone. And on the other line was a man by the name of Ricky Burns. And Ricky Burns was the program director for Power 96.5, which is a hip hop station in Lansing, Michigan.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so he ended up calling, you know, first he made a request, of course. And then he said, you know what, I've been looking for DJs to help us out in the radio station, and I would like to have you on. And I said, oh, cool. I was like, I was trying to get in touch with you guys for an internship and everything. And he said, no, you need to be on the air.
Wow. Wow.
So that's how we went from there. We exchanged information, set up an interview with the people. And he pretty much said, you know, like, we're just doing this for technicalities. You already got the gig. So like you already, because he told me he's been listening for a while, you know, looking for folks from the college radio station to bring in. And it just so happened, you know, I was there that night. I was able to pick up the phone, and that kind of happened.
Wow.
Power 96.5.
Wow, that is just like so intentional. Like you think about, you're doing something that you love doing. You're all into it, and it just goes to show, like, you never know who's watching. You never know who's listening. So I mean, that was a moment. Like, y'all need to rewind that back. Like, I always say this, like, rewind it back. That is that rewind it back moment.
Yeah, and it was crazy. It was so crazy because, like, I was not expecting it. It was late at night, like almost midnight. I was ready to go to bed, but I still had to put that game face on, so I had to do my job. So when I got that call, I was like, wait a minute, huh? Like, repeat that?
Yeah.
So it was like, it's still baffling how that happened. But you know what? I think, you know, God placed people and situations in your life for a reason.
Always.
So just coming into that radio space, like, what adjustments, because you had to move to a new place. So like, what adjustments were there for you as far as learning the call letters, going out to the public, because did you interview like major artists at your college station or not?
But I actually interviewed a couple of local artists. Five Ella was a rap group that I interviewed, and they were actually connected with Eminem and with the Slum Village and that entire, you know, hip hop Detroit scene. So yeah, being able to do that, and then at Power 96.5, I was able to, because I also took photography for like our different events. So I was able to go to their Common Ground Festival, which is a huge festival in Lansing. And I was able to, you know, be there and take pictures of, you know, Big Sean and pictures of A$AP Rocky and A$AP Mob and Gucci Mane and Kevin Gates. And just like being around that atmosphere, being around that space and learning pretty much on the fly about, you know, different things that you didn't think you could do, and you were kind of skeptical that you could do, but just getting into that zone, getting into that space. And then you realize, okay, wait a minute, maybe I do have, you know, what it takes. So it's like gaining that confidence.
Right. It's the importance of being willing to do anything. And learn anything. And people need to realize you gotta work your way. You gotta work your way through some things, and nothing's gonna be cookie cutter.
Being hungry for it.
Did you have like a mentor or anybody that just kind of took you under your wings whenever you first got started?
Oh man, I've had plenty of mentors, thankfully. Obviously from my teachers, my professors, and then of course, you know, Ricky was a great mentor to me, and like just preparing for, you know, what you have in store as a journalist, because in radio, like, is not too many, you know, faces that look like mine. You know, being a Black person in radio and a woman on top of that, because like women radio personalities are kind of few and far between. I mean, we're out there, but as far as notable faces. Like you only know like only a handful, like
right.
And like Angela Yee, like Angie Martinez.
That's the first one that came to mind.
Absolutely. And then, like the ladies of the Steve Harvey Show, the ladies of the Ricky Smiley Show. Like it's definitely hard.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of those, ladies, they kind of either like, you don't see them host their own show. Like they're mostly like a part of an ensemble, obviously. I think like the last, like as far as like solo female DJs, they're few and far between. Like, obviously Wendy Williams when she was doing radio, and Frankie Darcell, doing radio as well. So like it's definitely, as hard as it is to be a Black person in radio, it's a little bit harder to be a Black woman in radio. So that's what you have to prepare for. So Ricky definitely helped me prepare for that. And also Yvonne Daniels, who was my boss and the program director for KISS 107.1 in Saginaw, which is an Alpha Media station. And that was the previous my previous position as a midday personality. And she definitely gave me a lot of pointers, like as far as voice checks every single week, air checks, how to gain confidence, how you want to say what you want to say in just a short amount of time. Because with radio, attention span is like that. So you got to reel them in as quickly as possible. Don't talk too much, which is kind of like what I'm working on because, I like to talk. So it's definitely just kind of, perfecting your craft, not being afraid to jump into anything, especially with these interviews, because like for the normal person, it's so easy to be starstruck. And there have been quite a few times where I have been a little starstruck, but the trick is to not let it show. You have to be as professional as possible. Obviously, show your personality, obviously. So, but, still keep it in that space.
So speaking of interviews, what was your best interview and like the favorite one that you have?
Oh man, it's so many, and I was so fortunate enough to talk to a lot of my heroes. Like I've spoken with Tamia, I've spoken with Brandy, I've interviewed John Legend twice, and Tank, and it's still a lot of folks that I was fortunate enough to speak with. But the one interview that I almost got starstruck on, and kind of got a little starstruck on, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So,
oh man, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it.
And talk about the fact that I only had 24 hours notice.
Wow.
To prepare. Like it's just like my boss coming in like, hey, you're speaking with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis tomorrow. I'm like, huh? Okay, cool. So it's just. And, with me being a fan of their work naturally, it was definitely going to be trouble to, get into like not teetering onto fan mode.
Right.
But obviously, obviously I was very excited to talk to them because like they pretty much served as the soundtrack to my childhood. Like we're talking Morris Day and the Time. We're talking Prince. We're talking Sounds of Blackness. We're talking Mint Condition. Like, that whole Minneapolis sound, like Janet Jackson, like, like they had, like it was crazy. But I was able to. I still did not know how I was able to go through with it, but it ended up being one of my favorite interviews, one of my heavily listened to interviews. And like after it was done, Jimmy just spoke and said, "Hey, how old are you?" And I'm like, I was in my 30s at the time. Like the fact that you sound so young and you were so knowledgeable, like you did your homework, like, and like just getting that compliment was,
man,
that's mind blowing.
Man, it's nothing like when your heroes compliment you on how great you are at what you do, man. I wouldn't be able to compose myself after them. Oh yeah, I was ready for it.
Man, I have to ask, like, what does the preparation look like for like a radio personality? Like, is it like on a day-to-day? Is it just like, oh, I have to do these interviews, or what does it kind of look like?
Well, as a radio personality, obviously you come in like about an hour or so before your airtime to kind of prepare, look over, the news. Look over like your liners. Obviously, there's going to be some local stuff in there. So preparing yourself, obviously with your research, but also preparing mentally on top of that. And at Kiss 107.1, I had a whole plethora of things to do because not only was I preparing for my show, but also, you know, I did some production work beforehand as well. So, you know, loading in commercials, voicing different things, and just knowing, you know, your intentions, knowing what you had to do, and just making sure that you prepare yourself and have that allotted time for you to take that for yourself. So once you get into that mindset, then you're pretty much, you know, good to go.
Wow.
During your time in radio, so what was some of the biggest things you learned and took away from that experience?
Yeah.
And like you apply to your life, like as a life lesson.
I would have to say the biggest thing that I learned in radio is that radio is about the people. Radio is about your listeners. It is about, like, obviously, you know, you can easily talk about yourself and relate things to yourself, but sometimes you have to see things from another person's point of view. And in that case, and in that instance, that is your listener. Like, how are they feeling today? Like, what do you think is on their mind? Like, what do you think they would want to, you know, hear and want to talk about? And that is the most important thing, because like, I know like it seems to get lost with a lot of people, obviously with technology growing and, you know, now you have streaming, now you have YouTube, and not too many, and like you have people, you know, gearing away from radio. Right. But the main thing that you want to do is bring them back in, because radio has that personality, and like you're able to create that personal relationship with your listener, with each and every single listener. You talk to them as if they're right in front of you. You're talking to a friend. And like getting into that mindset, like that is the most important thing that I've learned from, is that sometimes you have to think outside of yourself in order to have a better understanding of the world around you.
Wow. Now that was a word from somebody. That was a word. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes you have to look outside of yourself. And that is so true for, you know, just everything that you do in life, right? And we have like all these people who are now content creators and, you know, social media gurus, you know, all of these things, right? But you just said a lot, right? It's about your mindset. It's about how you apply yourself. It's also about taking inventory of who is consuming you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Knowing that audience and just what they like and just basically getting a grasp. But like you said, it's not about you. Yeah. And like I was thinking the whole time, like the best radio personalities I remembered and I kept going back to, they made you feel like you were right there by them.
Exactly.
And were personal with you, had a conversation, called you family. So that was something good to think about right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing against the TikTok tribe out there, but you know, it's something about radio. Like you get to have, like you feel as if as a listener, you know this person. Right. They shared so much with you as if you are their friend, that it actually makes you feel like you're one of their friends. Like what Wendy Williams said, like friend in my head and all of that. Like, yes, that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
That was a really good tip for somebody. Yeah. Like,
if you don't take it, listen, viewer, if you don't take anything from this, rewind that piece back. And I'm taking her spiel, rewind back, and play that again, because that was a word right there.
It was.
You got Evangelist Boyd on here today?
Nah. I don't think I'm into that kind of ministry, but I just do what I do when I can.
Got you. So you recently transitioned to Radio One as the online editor. So what made you make that transition from being on air to being so to speak, kind of on the background? And how has that transition been for you?
And what does that look like for the people?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, you know, as much as I love being on the air and as much as I would want to go back to that someday, I always take it upon myself to not be stagnant in what I do. And I just thought to myself, okay, yeah, I did, you know, on air and everything. I'm also doing production and stuff. What's next for me? You know, what is there to conquer after that. And it actually came in like during a very interesting time in my life, a year of transition, basically. You know, dealing with last year, I lost my mother to COPD.
Okay.
Thank you. So that was during like a definite, you know, interesting time, because the only reason I stayed in Michigan that long was to take care of her, because I was also her caregiver while she was in, you know, the nursing home and everything and handling her business. And since she has passed, like I kind of, you know, just thought to myself, you know, took time to reflect. I'm like, okay, this has happened. I've done all that I could do. And, you know, she passed peacefully. So like that part of my life is done. So what's next for me? Because now I want to do something for myself. Like, okay, you need to take care of yourself now and see what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, because now nothing is holding you back. So I just started looking around. I started applying. Obviously with on air, it's few and far between, because, you know, radio's in a very interesting time to where a lot of people are gearing, you know, towards more syndicated radio hosts and not necessarily a localized radio host. So I thought, okay, look, I have these 2 degrees. I know a lot more stuff that I can do, and I can also write. So what is there left? So I just looked on Urban One's website, see, okay, what openings do they have? And I did see the position of online editor, and it was initially in Indianapolis. So I ended up applying for that. I ended up getting, well, before that, I walked into my job and I just prayed to myself before I got into the car, like, God, like, just please, you know, guide my steps. Whatever you want me to do, I will do it. Just show me the way. And then after I prayed to God, I talked to my mother and I had her ashes around my neck. And it was right before I walked in. I'm like, Mom, I know you just got up there, but if you can pull some strings, if you see something better for me, like, please show that to me.
Right.
So I did that. Not even an hour later. See how God works sometimes. I get an email from Radio One saying, hey, we would like to have you for an interview.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
So like I said, you know, God works in interesting ways, right?
All day.
So like, here's the thing, like I ended up, you know, doing the interview, first and second interview. And then for a few months, I didn't hear anything. And so I was kept on checking in, like, hey, you see what's going on? Can you see what's going on? And then finally in late February, early March, I get another email from the main director of digital. And she said, hey, you know, unfortunately, you know, Indianapolis is on a hiring hold and we can't fill that position, but we don't want to let you go. So we have that same position open in 2 more spots. We have Baltimore and we have Raleigh. Which one would you like to go for? And I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking Baltimore may be nice, but I'm also trying to get away from snow and ice. So I ended up, you know, on a whim, ended up doing Raleigh. So we skipped the first interview because I already did the first interview. And I ended up speaking with the department heads. So like the head of digital sales, the programming director, and the main market director. Had an interview with them, and next day I got the call saying, hey, we would like to talk about employment for you and your salary.
That is so awesome. That is awesome. That is
awesome. I was like I was literally in my car, like pulling up to the radio station in Saginaw when I got the alert, like, hey, would you like to like the next email I would like to talk to is, you know, about your employment and how we can do this. And talking to the person that I interviewed with, they just said, you know what, after we hung up, they kept on bragging about you. Like, we love her. We need to bring her in here now. Like, it's just like, I am taken aback because I'm not really the kind of person that accepts praise away.
Same
you
way.
know, like, I'm a kind of person, I'm like, really? Like, huh? Me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. And it's like, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
It is a real blessing. Sometimes, like, I even question, like, how did this happen? Like, how is this my life? How? But at the end of the day, it's faith. It's putting your best foot forward, taking that leap of faith, knowing that regardless of what happens, at least you know you tried. And I took that leap of faith, and now here I am going on to 3-4 months in Raleigh, North Carolina. Still getting used to dodging deer on the road, but other than that,
you'll get used to those street lights.
And it was just, meant to be for you, right? It's like, you put in all of this work over the years, and, it's just so interesting, like, to kind of hear, where people are in different places and how different things in your life just, send you in a different direction. They make you think about things differently, as in seeking out what's next for you, knowing that you're good at one thing, but it's like, what else can I do? How else can I stretch myself? So I just applaud you for, making that transition and for thinking about yourself in that moment. So many times when we're in the midst of transitions, we tend to forget about ourselves, or sometimes transitions can make us go backwards in life. But, I just commend you on your strength. I commend you on the love that you have for yourself. I know your mom loves you. And I'm just so happy for you. I'm genuinely happy for you and for what's next in your life. I mean, this role, it sounds like it was just meant to be. It was just a matter of time. A matter of God's time.
Yeah. You can want to rush anytime you want, but at the end of the day, it's God's timing, and God's timing is always right. Like, I'm 33 going on perfect timing. There you go. Like, I'm 33 going on 34, and I'm just getting started.
Right.
So, like, time is not an issue, and age is not an issue.
Yes.
Like, it's all a matter of what God says is the right time.
Y'all right, rewind.
It's the truth.
Woo! Jesus.
Look, she acting like Bishop Richardson today here.
Doors of the church are now open, and I don't drop out of my ear.
Listen, oh my God, like, that was just so powerful. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
Absolutely.
Miss Paige, we're gonna role play just for a second. I am a young student, and I'm coming to you because I want to do what you do, what you have done. I want to be in radio. I want to work for Radio 1. What advice would you give to me?
My first thing that I would say is to be patient. Obviously, with everything seemingly going fast, not a lot of people assess the amount of time that it takes to perfect your craft and to perfect your passion for it. That's another thing. You have to have a passion for radio and a passion for journalism, because it is not always rewarding. I mean, you only see the surface, where you see like the glitz and the glamour, and you see, the personalities like on the red carpets and everything. But you also have to realize it takes a lot of time to get to that place. And sometimes, not a lot of people get to be in that place, but you have to have a passion for what you do. Even if you don't make it to the big companies like Radio 1 and like iHeart, there are still so much smaller markets and smaller companies that are also still great to work for.
Right.
You gotta give a shout out to the Emmis Communications, the Beasley Media Groups, the Alpha Medias, and just those local stations, because local radio is still out here and it still matters. So you really have to have a passion for what you do, even if the work is hard, even if it doesn't feel like you're doing enough, even if the pay is not good or to where you want it to be. You really have to grind, and you really have to have a passion for what you do. Like the only reason I'm able to be here is because, one, God and my faith in him. And two, knowing that I have the passion for radio and the passion for music and the passion for information. and passing it along. Like, that's what got me here. Like, if you don't have a love for it, then you might as well just check on out.
That's a fact. That is a fact. Wow. That passion piece.
Passion, patience, and time.
There you go.
Passion,
patience, and time. There you go. See, that's all it is. It's all it is. And everything else will speak for itself and will show itself in time.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, you know, we've just kind of learned so much in this. I don't even know how long we've been talking, but I mean, it's just amazing. You know, like I just can't say it enough. Every time we do these interviews,
it's something that we get from it.
It's just something that you glean from each one of them, and it's just so
PhD words.
It's just so listen. I'm usually not one that's lost for words, and I am just truly.
She's telling the truth because she.
Yeah, I'm usually go with the best of them, but you know, it's something about being patient, right? And it's something about being patient when we see things around us that are continuing to move forward. You see someone else, you know, on the red carpet doing this, and it's like, oh, well, this is my dream. This is what I want to do someday. But so many times we don't take into account what we are doing, right? And how you talked about, like, there are levels to it, right? There are different opportunities, and you shouldn't discount your opportunities because your opportunities don't look like this.
Wow. Exactly.
So, I mean, over to you, boss.
You call me boss on screen?
Oh,
okay. This ain't gonna be deleted. So I got a quote that you provided. I just want you to kind of tell me what it means to you. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
Yeah, first off, it's come from one of my favorite movies, A Bronx Tale, which I've seen like 50 million times. So, but that when I chose that quote, it kind of reminded me of another quote that my mother always said. And it's a little bit more country. But she said, you can either work at McDonald's or you can own a chain of McDonald's. The choice is yours. And basically, what I get from both of those quotes is that obviously, you know, the talent is there. Obviously, you know, you have, you know, your skills and what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean a thing if you're sitting on your ass. It doesn't mean a thing if you're not willing to work for it, if you're not willing to get to that place, because you can just say, I'm the best in the world at whatever I do all day. But if you don't show it, actions speak louder than words. Like, you got to back up your talk.
Yeah.
Like, you can bark all day long. You can show your talent all day long, but put the work in.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, they're working.
I 100% agree with that. So I know you already kind of gave us one tip. You know, here at Cohort 1986, we're about knowledge, inspiration and perspective. So something is just telling me to ask you, what would you say to just kind of encourage someone who is, you know, going through a phase of transition, and who's, you know, trying to figure out their next move? What words of wisdom would you have for that person?
I would probably say, take it one day at a time. Like obviously change is an earth-shattering thing, regardless of how minuscule it is or how big it is. Change, like any change in life as you know it, is major.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's going to take some time to process it. It's going to take some time to reflect and some time to, you know, just be and to figure out what you need to do next. Obviously, it's not going to be pretty all the time. You're going to have some ugly days. You're going to have some days where all you want to do is just lay in bed, cry all day and watch Golden Girls.
Yeah.
But like, allow yourself to be fully in that moment.
Mm.
It'll be easy to cover it up. It'll be easy to kind of like put on that brave face and say, I can handle this. But it takes a stronger person to just be in that moment. It takes a stronger person to just fully embrace what you're feeling.
Wow.
Obviously, you're not going to have good days all the time. And that's okay. Yeah. As long as you recognize it, as long as you process it, deal with it, and then move forward when you're ready to, when your heart is allowing you to. So it's still something that I'm still dealing with to this day. And sometimes I have really great days. Other times I'm having horrible days.
Right.
But you got to be 100% present in both situations. You got to be in both of those situations. And that way everything will come together when you process with everything. So that's what I would have to say. Let yourself be in the moment, regardless of what it is.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment. Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Absolutely.
Perfect timing. Mindset.
So, Miss Paige, what is next for you?
Well, I am still online editor at Radio 1 Raleigh. We have 3 great stations, K97.5, which is our hip hop station. We also have our R&B station, Foxy 107, 104, and we have our gospel station, 103.9 The Light. All 3 are in Raleigh. Great DJs, and of course, I do my writing pieces on there as well. We are just hitting the ground running, being in the community, being present with the people, and I am very excited to be a part of this amazing team, amazing DJs. We have Karen Clark over at Foxy. We have, of course, the team at K97.5. Shout out to A-Dub, Asia Sky, DJ Remedy, Mir I Am, Brian Dawson, the whole crew there. And then, of course, The Light, we have the fabulous Melissa Wade, who recently won a Stellar Award this year. So we're very, very proud of our team. And just to be a part of this amazing team, I couldn't ask for anything more. Urban One has been my dream company. And now to be here as part of one of the largest, if not the largest, African-American owned media companies in the country.
Awesome.
I couldn't ask for anything more. So I'm definitely looking forward to growing with them. We have some great content coming, some great content on the way. So just keep it locked to the 3 websites, foxync.com, hiphopnc.com, thelightnc.com.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
So Candace, where can they find us at?
They can find us at cohort1986.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter,
Instagram,
YouTube,
Spotify, all that. You can find us on all that.
Usually that's Rodney, right? Rodney.
No, I just want to flip the script today.
You got me today, y'all.
But you called me the boss, so I've made a boss.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay. I see how this is coming back on me, y'all.
Prepare for that to come back in the next few weeks. He'll use it to his advantage.
It's coming.
Love it.
Yes, and I do have my Instagram as well at Front Page Views, FRONTPAIGEVIEWS on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome.
Love it.
Connect with Paige. Please connect with Miss Paige.
Yes.
She will. She's all about that action. She's all about the work, and she'll help you get to the work.
She's about that patience.
Absolutely, for sure.
And that timing.
Absolutely, perfect timing. That's all it takes. All day.
Well, Paige, we want to thank you so much for joining us today and putting up with our laughing and everything. Our cutting up
over here.
And we just thank you for just the wisdom that you provided.
Really.
And thank you guys for having me. I mean, this platform that you guys created, I have a feeling it's going to touch so many lives, so many people. And even if it just touched one life, as long as you reach out to one person, you're doing your job. So I thank you guys for having me be a part of your mission. So I thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on. All right, guys. Until next time.
Peace.